welcome to this week's episode of Inside Owl Athletics. I'm Justin Mahan. The Owl men's basketball team finished their non-conference schedule this week. They capped it off with a big game against a big-time opponent. Tyler DeRosa was there for the action.
Nationally ranked Middlebury College came to Spalding Gym on Tuesday, but Keene State came to Spalding Gym with a mission. The Owls did everything they could to keep the offense rolling, including this heads-up play by Dezell Wright to keep the ball in bounds. This steal and layup by Ty Nichols helped the game stay close heading into halftime. Great ball movement by Middlebury helped keep the game just out of reach for the Owls. Despite the great ball movement, Ty Nichols was able to make the steal and feed it to Dezell Wright to tie things up in the second. Even after the increased pressure from the Owls, this transition layup sealed the game for Middlebury. The Panthers took this game 84-78. The Owls will be back on this court on Saturday at 3 o'clock to face Rhode Island College. For Inside Owl Athletics, I'm Tyler DeRosa.
The women's team also wrapped up their non-conference schedule with their game against Middlebury. The Owls had one of their best three-point shooting games of the season, but Peter Dubois reports that didn't lead to a win.
The Keene State women's basketball team fought hard Tuesday night, but it wasn't enough to defeat Middlebury College.
Early in the game, the Owls down 1-0. Heen Tatch takes the pass from Kenzie Bennett to knock down the three for an early lead. Middlebury was up 11-4 near the end of quarter one, but Emily McPadden drives baseline, swings it to Lily Schleiman in the corner, and she hits the triple to cut the lead to 4. Third quarter, Tatch drives the lane, kicks out to Sandy Purcell, who finds Tamara Gagne, who hits the three. Owls down 35-24. Middlebury would take control in the second half to win it 71-51.
The team will be back on home court Saturday to face off against Rhode Island College. For Inside Owl Athletics, I'm Peter Dubois.
Tip-off for that game is 1 p.m. in Spalding Gym. For some athletes, their season has either ended or yet to begin, but while they're in this hiatus, they still find ways to make an impact in the community. I headed to the Keene Recreation Center with the Student Athlete Advisory Committee to see how they are doing just that.
You won't see college athletes on this court. That's because they're teaching younger athletes all about basketball. It's part of a partnership program between the Student Athlete Advisory Committee and the Keene Recreation Center. Through this partnership, SAC hosts clinics throughout the year to teach children all about different sports. That's something that SAC advisor Kara Fisk-Hennessy says is important and fun.
It's such an important opportunity, and I'm so glad we have this chance to work with our youth athletes in the city of Keene.
The student athletes helped run different stations throughout the event, including dribbling, shooting, footwork, and defensive skills. And it's these fun-filled stations that Tori Weinstock says help make the game more fun for kids.
When I was younger, I went through the same thing, so I credited, the older kids that helped me out, so it means a lot to give back to younger kids.
It wasn't just fun for the younger athletes. Parents say that it was a blast just to sit back and be a parent.
He was dribbling, he shot it, and I was that typical mom cheering for him.
It's great. I mean, to see him run around, interact with kids that they don't see all the time, meet athletes that play right here in the community.
And as the clock ran out, it left a smile on the kids' faces and the parents wanting to return for more.
Anytime there is an opportunity for our daughters to interact at Keene State with athletes and in the community at the rec center, we're on board. We're 100% committed to it. It's a great opportunity.
I think this was perfect. If it just continues as he grows, and it was a job well done. It was really good.
Being able to see college student athletes is a really great thing, and it helps bring that community together.
Men's basketball program swept the LEC Awards this week. Junior guard Ty Nichols continues his Player of the Week streak for the third week in a row. Nichols earned the title after averaging 26 points, shooting about 58% from the field and about 36% from behind the arc. And James Inozie picked up Rookie of the Week for the fourth time this season after averaging a double-double of 14 points, 10 rebounds, and shooting 85% from the field. While men's basketball garnished the LEC Awards, women's track and field took both Athlete of the Week titles. Junior Brittany Gravelis received the honor after her impressive run at the Brandwin Smith Invitational, and junior Taylor Basalian was named after qualifying for the New England Division III Championship. Congratulations to all our athletes of the week. With just a handful of games remaining in the regular season, the men's basketball team looks to hold on to that second-place ranking in the LEC. We're joined by head coach Ryan Kane to tell us about the state of the team, as well as what they're doing to prepare for the postseason. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So Tuesday night, huge night for the team. You had nationally ranked Middlebury College come to town, and unfortunately we did fall in that game, but it was an intense game for the team. How are you going to take that intensity into the postseason?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the Monadnock Regional High School Pep Band, the Keene community, and the Keene State College campus for, helping us provide that kind of environment during that big game. Obviously that was a really good basketball team. We weren't able to win that game, but I think that type of environment and the quality of the opponent is very similar to what we'll see in the postseason, whether it's the conference tournament or whether it's the NCAA tournament. Hopefully we have that opportunity to play in the NCAAs again this year. So I think there was, based on how we played, a lot that we can build on. Obviously we have a young group of guys that haven't played in, too many of these big type of games before. I think we have a really difficult schedule. We've played some quality teams, but I think Middlebury is probably the best team that we've played all year, and obviously we went toe-to-toe with them right until, basically the buzzer. I think a rebound late would have given us a chance to tie or win the game. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that rebound. Ty missed his three, and it played out the way that it did. But obviously, I think in terms of, the level that we need to play at, some of the things that we need to do in a big game, we can carry forward. For my first 2 years, we've been fortunate to play our best basketball at the end of the season, carrying it over into the conference tournament despite losing in the championship last year. Once it gets to conference tournament, NCAA tournament time, this team, this program has been able to find that extra gear. So hopefully this group of guys can find that gear as well.
So you mentioned the younger guys and hopefully getting into not only the LEC tournament but the NCAA tournament. Those are some intense games. Let's bring it back to last season, where we talked to you about the younger guys. How are they doing adjusting from high school into collegiate play?
Yeah, I think they're doing really well. Obviously, we're starting at times 2-3 freshmen. Those guys have had opportunities, like we've just talked about, to play in big games, and I thought they've performed for the most part really well in some of these big games. The big difference between high school and college is, one, the length of the season. So you start to see some guys that get beat up in the middle of the year, so you're dealing with, various injuries, various sicknesses, that kind of go around college campuses. I'm sure it goes around high schools as well, but, obviously it affects you different. And then on top of that is just the speed of the game. So I think you've seen guys get a little bit more comfortable with the way that the college game is played compared to the high school game. Obviously the first guy that comes to mind would be James. Of course, he transitioned into that starting role, and I think since he was inserted into that role, he's been averaging a double-double, which is pretty impressive for a freshman. But he's not the only guy. I think we've had different lineups with different guys playing significant minutes and having really key contributions to help us win some big games, or at least be really competitive in some big games.
How comfortable are you knowing that these younger faces on the team will carry the team for the years to come?
Yeah, obviously I think we have a really good group of guys moving forward. Depending on how you look at it, I think we have 2 or 3 seniors. Some guys have some different eligibility that they may take advantage of. But, there's not many older guys on this team in terms of having seniors and losing players. So I think we have a real core group of guys that will be able to carry forward. Obviously Ty is going to be a senior next year, but these freshmen are guys that will have a chance to, really grow and mold the program around moving forward. So I think we look at this as a key recruiting class to kind of keep this thing going. And I think we're in a really good spot with, obviously good basketball players, but obviously, good people and good students as well, and that's equally as important. Guys that you can trust on and off the court. So I think our program's in a good place, and hopefully, one that can have an impact in our community outside of just the basketball court.
So Saturday, Rhode Island College, they come to Spalding Gym. What key players can we expect to shine on the court on Saturday?
For them? Yeah, I think, Rhode Island College still has a little bit of, rivalry with Keene State. Going back to the days of Bob Walsh and all those teams that were really good through the years. They were on top of the league, so there was always something between Keene and Rick, and I think that something has continued to this day. So I think you can expect, a lot of energy from that standpoint. On top of that, they have a young group as well. They have a couple younger guys that are really good players. Adam Floyd is a guy that actually went to the same high school that I did, and he didn't play against us the first time around, so I'm sure he'll be excited for the opportunity to face us for the first time. There's another Worcester guy that's on their team that didn't play the first time around that'll be excited. AJ Petway, his father's a high school coach in the Worcester area that I know pretty well. And then they have some older guys that are pretty good too. Guys that played last year that obviously lost a couple games to us, so I think they'll be fired up. They're going to want, I'm sure, position themselves appropriately for postseason play, just like we're trying to do. Obviously we'd love a crack at, seeing if we can obtain that #1 seed in the conference tournament. And our first step to try to get there is now Saturday. So it'll be a big game with a lot of good players. They rebound the ball well. They have some good size up front. They have a junior college transfer center. That's a big boy that is a presence in the paint. And then they have, a really good forward that's good in the glass. That's kind of expanding his role. He's a bit of a role player in his first couple of years, and now he's transitioning to a guy that's looking to score the ball a bit more. So, we're gonna have to do a really good job against those two guys to, one, not let them play to their strengths, but obviously two, to keep them off the glass because they do have good size.
Well, Coach, thank you for joining us today, and good luck on Saturday.
Again, thanks for having me.
Moving on to another story, KSC women's swim team has two swimmers who may be difficult to tell apart in and out of the pool. Inside Owl Athletics' Emma Hamilton has that story.
Swimming together since the age of 8, the Petula sisters have been spending much of their lives together in the pool. Initially, Olivia and Madison didn't plan to attend college together, but when offered the opportunity to swim at KSC, they just couldn't pass it up. So, not only do they look alike and swim on the same team, they compete in the same event, the breaststroke.
We push each other, so it's a good thing. Yeah, it's always been like that. We up until this last year, we didn't really both swim the same events, so we weren't as competitive.
Olivia is okay with competing against her sister, but it has its pros and cons.
We want to beat each other, which sucks, one winning over the other, but also we push each other harder than other people would.
The Petulises say it's easier for them to critique one another because they are so close. Joining a new team was also easier for them because they had one another for support. They spend a majority of their time together, in and out of the water.
I think it would be hard without each other.
The women's swim team has completed 11 straight LEC wins. They're on the road this weekend to UMass Dartmouth with hopes of bringing home a 12th and completing the Dirty Dozen. Reporting for Inside Owl Athletics, I'm Emma Hamilton.
It's a busy weekend for our athletes, starting with the women's swimming and diving team heading to the LEC Championship on Saturday. They'll compete for their 12th straight LEC title, and the men's swimming and diving team is also in action Saturday at WPI. And the men's and women's basketball teams return to Spalding Gym on Saturday for LEC play against Rhode Island College. It's senior day for the women beginning at 1 p.m. with the men tipping off at 3. Then both teams hit the road on Wednesday to Eastern Connecticut State. The women start at 5:30 and the men at 7:30. And as always, you can catch all the Keene State action through the Owl Athletics webpage. Just go to KeenOwls.com, click on the Game Day tab, then select Live Broadcasts. Again, that's KeenOwls.com, Game Day, then Live Broadcasts. That'll do it for us this week. Thank you for watching. I'm Justin Mahan, and I'll be back next week for another edition of Inside Owl Athletics.